So it was reported on February 10th that Larry Flynt, the publisher and owner of Hustler magazine, had passed away. And I had met Larry Flynt in the 90s. I was working at the Sheridan Hotel at University Center, which is near Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. This was the 90s. So I think it was like 18. I was 18 years old, 19 years old, something like that. I'll be 46 in April. And I did not know who Larry Flynt was. I mean, if I was going to look at one of those magazines, it was more than likely going to be a Playboy, not a Hustler, because I guess Hustlers were more hardcore. And this was before the movie had come out with Woody Harrelson and all this other kind of stuff. And he was going to Duke University to have spine surgery done. And he was there with his wife. And I remember I was working at the hotel as concierge. I was a bellhop, and it was part-time. It was good cash money. It was good cash money because you get tipped for everything. I don't care what you did, you got a tip. And I was driving shuttles back and forth. The Sheridan had the contract for U.S. Airways, and we would drive all the pilots and the stewardesses to the RDU airport, and but also take medical patients that were staying at the hotel to Duke University Medical Center. So Larry's there with his wife, Althea, I believe that's how you say her name, and another doctor slash maybe bodyguard slash chiropractor. I think he said he was a chiropractor because, Larry had been shot back in the day, and, that put him in the wheelchair that he was in. And, but I had no knowledge of who he was. So, I remember when he arrived, I had to help him. We had this Ford Aerostar 90s Ford Aerostar van that the hotel had, along with a couple of other 15-passenger Econoline vans, and we would drive him. I would drive him personally to the hospital. And I also, because it wasn't a handicapped-equipped shuttle, I and his chiropractor would scoop him up, one leg and holding onto his back, and we would put him into the Ford Aerostar. And again, I was just doing my job and making sure he was taken care of, but I didn't know who he was. I just had no clue. And then once he went in to have this spine surgery that he was having at Duke, because obviously, as you get older, when you sit in a wheelchair, you probably have degenerative spine stuff. And so he was having some work done. His wife, for a full week, I would take her to and from they'd call me, to and from Duke University. She wouldn't stay the night in the hospital. She'd come back to the hotel. And about halfway through, the chiropractor said, "Do you know who that is?" Because one of the things that struck me was once we pulled him out of the wheelchair, I had to put the hatch back up on the Aerostar, and then put his wheelchair in. But his wheelchair, I thought it was brass, because it was gold. It had the red crushed velvet cushions and all this other kind of stuff. And I thought it was brass. And I thought to myself, oh my God, how gaudy is this? And again, I had no clue. To me, he was just another patient going to Duke, because I'd taken many, many people to Duke for the hospital runs. And I just couldn't make heads or tails of who he was. And the chiropractor said, hey, be very gentle with that, with the wheelchair, because it is 14 karat gold plated. And I was like, what? Who the hell has a 14 karat gold plated wheelchair? And I still didn't think nothing of it. And then the chiropractor, about halfway through the week or something, he said, "Do you know who this is?" And I said, "No." And he said, "This is Larry Flynt. He's the publisher of Hustler magazine, blah, 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 blah." And he said, "Larry wanted you to have this." And he gave me an issue of Hustler magazine. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But this was in April, and the issue was from June, because when they do these publications, and I had no idea, I'm an 18, 19-year-old guy. They do them several months out where they do the layouts, they figure out what they're going to put in it, they do the photo shoots, whatever they're going to do. So they do these several months out so that you can, they need to do them several months out in case they need to make changes, which is what they said to me. They said, Larry says, if you take a look at this, if there's anything in this magazine you don't like, let us know and Larry will fix it. And I was like, what? You're giving me, the guy who's just driving you back and forth to look at this magazine and then give you feedback in case you need to change stuff. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool, but obviously I looked through the magazine and I mean, couldn't make heads or tails of what was good and what was not. I mean, it all looked fine to me. And I said, no, everything's fine, at the end of the week. And then, Larry was finished with his surgery and put him on his way to go to the airport and flying back to Hollywood, Los Angeles. If you're going to go to have spinal surgery, you want to go to the best place on the planet, and that's Duke University Medical Center. They have some of the best doctors on the planet and the best procedures and things like that. But the one thing that was odd, because he's a multi-millionaire, is I never got a tip. They never see, normally when you take someone to and from the hospital or to and from, it's a courtesy, but you tip $1, so theoretically I should have made, $20 off them, on the way. And you would think that they would be like, oh, this kid, he's helping us with the wheelchair, doing all this kind of stuff. We don't have a handicap van. This is just me going out of my way as a nice guy. I always go out of my way for people, especially when I was doing that with the medical people, because they're hurting, they're trying to get their procedures done. And I'm a representative at that time of the Sheraton Hotel. So long story short, I never got a tip, but I did get a Hustler magazine out of the deal. And the interactions that I had with Larry and his wife and his chiropractor / bodyguard guy were all very pleasant and fantastic. And, I feel bad that he passed away for his wife and family. And, I mean, it's not often you meet people that literally change the course of history. Larry was one of those guys. Hindsight's 2020. When I look back at that moment in time, I look at it a lot differently than I did, especially after the movie came out and knowing he was shot, because that whole time he was in town to get that procedure done. I never knew why he was in the wheelchair. I did not know that he had been shot. And that's why he was paralyzed. And so it's interesting as life goes on. But that was my Larry Flynt story. And, I wish his family well in their time of grieving. And that's it. That was my story. I just figured I'd throw that out there and share that. And we'll see you on the next one.